welcome back to the Entertainment Vortex. We're at Brendan Theaters today watching Maze Runner: The Death Cure. This is the third movie in the trilogy, and I was really excited to see this one. Before I get into that, I want to let you guys know that we actually have something new and exciting for you. We now have shirts, hoodies, and stickers available for sale in our store. Go ahead and check the description down below if you're interested in checking that out. That would really help us out and raise the quality of some of the things we're trying to make and help fund some of our fan films that are coming soon. The first movie was good, the second movie was amazing in my opinion, and coming off of that cliffhanger in the second movie, I just had to know where they were going to go with this. I am going to say right off the bat that this movie is weaker, in my opinion, than the second movie, by a pretty good chunk. They had a good story. What you actually get going from the beginning of this movie until the climax of the trilogy is good. The things that happen make sense. The things that happen are fulfilling. They're enjoyable. The way they chose to present them on film, not so much. There are long, drawn-out scenes where people are like looking at each other and you're like, cut away already. They choose to film things in a way that doesn't work. Something will happen in the scene and it's like, that wouldn't have been bad news if you just would have moved instead of just standing there staring at the camera. Like, stupid stuff like that. And the problem with those kinds of decisions by the director or whoever decided this is it breaks immersion. Because instead of going, oh my god, did that just happen? And being nervous about what's going to happen to the characters, you're like, the hell was that?
So coming into this film with a little bit of a different perspective, I've read all of the books in this trilogy. It's interesting to see the choices that they made in the progression from the first book where they didn't really stray too far from the subject matter to the second book where they strayed a little bit further, and then to this one where they really diverged pretty far from what the original subject matter laid out. The really tough part about that is with how far they diverged from the subject matter, they also really meandered with things, and the pacing just kind of had some issues to it. They chose to elongate scenes that maybe necessarily didn't need that kind of stretch, while also managing to step on things that were set up in the book and even in the previous movies without allowing those things to gain some room and to breathe and really to flesh those things out. The way that the plot works in the books is there are a lot of spinning plates. There are things that are going on with several different characters that all have like this culmination that comes to in the third book. There's space that's allowed to let characters grow and let them evolve, reach that climax in a way that's fulfilling, in a way that is exciting to read or exciting to hopefully watch. I feel like what they did with the movie was they took away some of the plates and focused in on a few of them, but they focused too far and too heavy. So rather than having a lot of really well done, intricate points that are spread out, they focused in on 2 or 3 points and they just hammered those points to death. And they don't allow any of the extra characters to really expand and find the end of their arcs.
This movie is absolutely made for someone that's emotionally invested in these characters. So if you've seen the first 2 movies and you enjoyed them, watch this movie because you're emotionally invested in these characters. You're going to feel the impact of what happens, good and bad. The problem with that is even being emotionally invested and being super immersed in what's going on, the way it's filmed just ruins it. So when they do these scenes where you're emotionally invested in the outcome of these characters, I feel that they didn't take the time in this movie to establish that emotional connection for you. In the second movie, you get reintroduced to the characters. You're given a reason in that movie to care about these characters. It's been well over a year since I've seen the last movie, and you should assume that your viewer hasn't just rewatched the movie going in. So while I was emotionally invested in the character, it had been a while, so that was a little disconnected. Luckily, I had the foresight to watch a recap video before I came, so the key points were fresh in my mind, but not everybody's going to do that.
I feel like for the most part, it was well acted. Dylan O'Brien reprises his role as Thomas, and it's really exciting to see him kind of back in the film game, especially with that scare in the original filming process for this movie. He was injured, and we didn't know if he was actually going to survive that. And it's really nice to see him come in, finish the work that he put in, and to see this movie finally come out. He does an okay performance. I think this is probably the weakest of the 3 for him, but he's still an entertaining lead and someone that you want to invest your time in. He has points that he makes, motivations that make sense based on his background and based on the things that he's done in the previous movies. So the surprising performance for me in this one is the actor that plays Newt. That character feels like it's really fleshed out, and it has all of these like intense motivations, and there's a lot of things going on with the performance. There's kind of a duality there that's really enticing and really exciting to see on screen. And like I said, the performance was very well portrayed.
Like I said earlier, if they would have taken some of these scenes, built them better based off of the core story, I also feel that that would have made the emotional impact more impactful. For example, there is a scene where it literally just stops in the scene, and you're looking at this person staring at them, this person staring at them, this person staring at them, and then something bad happens. And I'm like, if you didn't actually just stand there and do nothing for the last 2 minutes, that bad thing wouldn't have happened. And that's the logic that's broken in this movie. There's too many scenes that are filmed in a way where I understand what you're going for. If you just would have done it in a normal way, instead of filming it in this odd way, it would have just flowed right. With that being said, I'm glad I saw the movie. I wanted to see how this ended. I wanted to see the typical thing, who lives, who dies, you know, what was it a happy ending or not, you know, all that stuff. I wanted to see that, and I'm glad I got that, but this was not as strong as the second movie, as Scorched Child, and it definitely wasn't as strong as the first movie either. This is the weakest in the three, and honestly, that shouldn't be what it is. The last movie should be the one everything builds to, not the one that you're glad you got the info, but I guess okay. Disappointing.
The set pieces that they choose to use do build a level of tension, especially when it comes to, you know, the dark corridor type areas where they're showing the cranks. It has that zombie film kind of feel to it, which I know is a little bit overplayed up to this point, but it was definitely entertaining to watch, and like I said, it does add that tension, which is really important in a movie like this to keep you immersed and keep you enjoying what's going on. The tough part about the whole thing is just that with the way that they meandered with the pace and the way that they chose to do things, it kind of lets some of those moments fall flat. But the tough part about scenes like that is when the pace meanders in the way that this did.
If you've seen the first two, you like these characters, you're emotionally invested in these characters, I highly suggest seeing this movie. If not, skip it. You're not going to get intrigued by just this movie. This is not going to catch you up enough where you're going to know what's going on, where you're going to care about these characters. This does not stand alone on its own at all. So either watch the first two movies, and if you like them, see this one, or just knock this one off your radar. So as someone that did watch the first two movies and really enjoyed them, I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. It could have been so much better. Minor tweaks along the way and different choices in filming certain scenes. Even with just minor tweaks to the script, I feel this could have been a 9 or a 10. But they really blew it in the way they decided to do this movie, in my opinion. I wanted so much more, and it left me wanting.
So I'm going to give this movie a 6 out of 10. It's an interesting arc starting from the very beginning all the way up to this point, but it kind of ends with a thud where you really want more.
So I'm curious to know, out of all the young adult trilogies out there, what is your favorite? Go ahead and put that down in the comment section below. This definitely falls into that category. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. We've got a minimum of 4 videos a week for you, including movie reviews, which we're going to have some exciting changes coming to pretty soon here, as well as Funko Pop news videos, gaming videos. Sky's the limit. We got all kinds of exciting stuff coming your way. Hope you'll follow us into the Vortex. We'll see you next time.